Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to present my paper to you today. The title of my paper is Demonstrating GDPR Accountability with CSM-ROPA, Extensions to the Data Privacy Vocabulary. The accountability principle of the GDPR requires organisations to put in place appropriate and effective measures to meet the principles and obligations of the regulation. Organisations are required to be able to demonstrate their compliance to a regulator on request. A core requirement for GDPR compliance is the maintenance of a Register of Processing Activities, or a ROPA as we refer to it. Every organisation must maintain such a Register of Processing Activities under Article 30 of the GDPR. The document is a rich repository of the personal data handling carried out by the organisation, and it is an integral element for the demonstration of GDPR compliance. Many organisations struggle with their ROPA obligations, with up to 45% of them relying on manual solutions such as spreadsheets to complete this essential document. From a recent sample of ROPAs taken from Irish public bodies, it was found that only 23% of the ROPAs contained a sufficient level of detail. It is clear that organisations are challenged with ROPAs. In 2020, we developed a common semantic model of the GDPR Register of Processing Activities, or CSM-ROPA as we refer to it. We utilised the data privacy vocabulary, also known as the DPV, to express 6 ROPA templates provided by data protection regulators and turn this into a semantic model of a ROPA. We have described the importance of ROPA and the challenges that organisations are facing. This has led to our research question, which is to establish the extent that CSM-ROPA can be utilised to assist organisations in meeting the accountability principle of the GDPR. We have established that organisations are greatly challenged with the completion and maintenance of ROPA. They are using many different approaches to identifying and recording the data processing of the organisation. This can be a very challenging task, as the data can be stored in many heterogeneous data sources across numerous affiliates, functions, processors, and elements of the business. The approach that organisations are taking to the completion of ROPA are largely manual mapping operations or utilisation of standalone customised solutions which lack interoperability. These solutions tend to focus on manual or semi-automated approaches that are labour intensive and rely on domain experts. These software solutions have often been completed by private enterprise without the input of the regulator, and they tend to lack standards-based approaches to compliance. Among the failings identified in ROPAs are they are generalised and vague, they're not being kept up to date, insufficient details are kept for the technical and organisational security measures, inaccurate or no retention periods declared. So there are many failings on ROPAs and many challenges for organisations that need to be addressed. The data privacy vocabulary, also known as the DPV, is a vocabulary, an ontology serialized using semantic web standards to represent concepts associated with privacy and data protection, primarily derived from the GDPR. It is a community specification that is maintained by the Data Privacy Vocabulary and Controls Community Group, also known as the DPVCG. The data privacy vocabulary is a machine-readable representation of personal data processing and can be adapted in relevant use cases such as legal compliance documentation and evaluation, policy specification, consent representation and requests, taxonomy of legal terms, and annotation of text and data. CSM-ROPA is a semantic model designed to model 6 English language ROPA templates provided by EU data protection regulators. It is a use case of the data privacy vocabulary, DPV, and is deployed as a mediation layer between the business processing activities and the reporting layers of the organization. CSM-ROPA has evolved to support machine-to-machine accountability compliance verification, and is the basis for the development of platforms and tools that allow for the smooth interoperation of systems. So, how does an organisation actually demonstrate that they are meeting the GDPR accountability principle? The United Kingdom Data Protection Regulator, also known as the Information Commissioner's Office, ICO, has provided a self-audit question set to assist organisations in evaluating their compliance. It consists of 10 categories and 334 self-assessment questions, one category of which is ROPA. We selected the ROPA category of the ICO section of the accountability framework for analysis. We evaluated 33 questions of the ROPA section of the accountability tracker. We actually identified that there are 139 unique GDPR terms that are contained within the 33 questions. We evaluated the extent that CSM-ROPA could express each of these terms. We categorized each term as one of the following: an exact match, a narrower match, a match using an alternative vocabulary, or no match. We will provide some examples of this process in the next slide. Here are some examples of the matching process. As you can see from the term purposes of processing, we achieved an exact match with CSM-ROPA. For the term an individual, we achieved a narrower match to CSM. For the term contact details, we did not have a term in CSM-ROPA, but we could avail of other vocabularies such as vCard to achieve this match. We were unable to match the term the official authority in CSM-ROPA. We completed this process for all 131 terms. The results of this will be displayed in the next slide. The results of our mapping process is displayed in this table. CSM-ROPA can fully express 41% of the terms fully and 51% of terms to a narrower extent. When we use vocabularies like vCard, we can express another 6% of the ICO Accountability Framework ROPA section. We were unable to express 3 terms, which equates to 2%. These terms have been submitted to the Data Privacy Community Controls Group for inclusion. The contributions of this paper are the demonstration of the expressiveness of CSM-ROPA to facilitate GDPR-supported accountability. Also, we identify several terms for inclusion in the DPV. The positive outcome of this research indicates that with a small number of additions to CSM-ROPA, it is possible to support machine-to-machine accountability compliance verification for the creation and maintenance of ROPAs. Organisations are greatly challenged with meeting the accountability principle of the GDPR. The available tools to assist them in this process are insufficient. We sought to evaluate the extent that CSM-ROPA can express the content of a regulator-supplied accountability framework. We established that CSM-ROPA can provide 98% expressivity. We have identified the items that make up the missing 2%. We have submitted these terms for inclusion to the Data Privacy Vocabulary Group. The outcome of the analysis is positive, as it indicates that with a small number of additions to CSM-ROPA, it is possible to use a standard approach to the demonstration of ROPA compliance using CSM-ROPA to meet the ROPA obligations as set out by a regulator.